My father, he fell sick. And my, well, soon-to-be wife, she goes away to another town to find a job, but hey, I'm not blaming her. I actually tell her that's probably the right move to make. I mean, it's going to help us out a lot if you can make some income. Well, get this. I promised her. By the bottom of my heart, baby, I will marry you. I promise. Well, she comes back a year later, and I've almost spent all of my savings just so my father can have a good final years because his time's coming, unfortunately, because he's bedridden at this point, paralyzed, and he's lived a hard, labor-full life. But my wife is not happy with this. She's telling me an ultimatum. She wants to have this luxurious wedding. She said she's already put $30,000 down for the venue, and if I don't find a way to put another $30,000 down, she's going to leave me. And she's blaming my father's untimely illness for the reason that she can't have this grand wedding. Well, guys, that's not all. Might sound pretty horrible so far, but it gets way worse. I'm finding out a secret, and update number 2, about what my wife was actually up to that year that she was gone to another city trying to get her job in order. I'll tell you what happened right now. Marriage is not really a necessity, but it's more like a relief pitcher who may save the game, and if it's trustworthy like Mariano Rivera, then bingo! But sometimes, even the most trustworthy reliever might fail to save the game, like in the 2001 World Series. My father has been a loyal fan, and I'm sure that's why he did not remarry, as he loved my mother so much, and also wanted to reserve the rest of the love and care for Roger, his only child, which is of course me. I had seen my father coming home late, not because he was an alcoholic or anything, but because he was doing quite stressful physical work that paved his way to a bedridden paralyzed person in the later years of his life. Meanwhile, I'm securing my way towards a better future. My father gambled with his present to make sure I did not end up doing the same manual labor as him. And, well, I did not excuse myself from achieving the goal of a good life. I've been a regular second baseman for my college team, and I was not that good otherwise. I would not have been grading my buttocks in a 9-to-5 job, but it was just the right amount to impress one of the cheerleaders of our college team. She had this attention in her eyes that told me that her waving hands were not intended to initiate small talk, but rather something of a long walk from the college precinct to my bedroom. Though we took a rather traditional route that consisted of coffee dates, long rides, movie nights, you name it. We did all the humane stuff before turning wild in the middle of a rainstorm. Oh. Well, though I had a goal to become a successful person in life so that I would not demean the sacrifices of my father, so me and Nikki, my girlfriend, decided not to go overboard before achieving a secure position in our life. She was, a bit reluctant at first, but she understood my life goals even, and, well, that I was not going to divert them by any means of distraction, and I never let my studies be compromised by my love for a sport. And Nikki, she had been so supportive, though, and never forced me to do something that could make me, use the word no. That would be a lie, but yeah, you get my point. I mean, I used the word no, but you know what I'm saying. I finally graduated, and 2 important people in my life were there to congratulate me. Dad. Dad had patted my shoulder since the day I introduced Nikki to him, and those 2 are, about to initiate a long conversation around coffee. From its history to different ways of making it, the duo was killing it with their expertise in it, though being a tasty subject, I had been living a coffee lover's dream. Which, by the way, had been a nightmare for me with all the hyped-up concentration and sleepless nights combined. My graduation degree proved to be a MasterCard to open up not all but many of the gates that never allowed a hard-working labor force like my dad. Though it could not have been possible without him, oh no. And the gamble paid off, and I got a fair job and moderately good company that landed me enough money to aspire to the life that I had seen with Nikki. In the meantime, Nikki decided to work for a fast food chain, as traditional ways of building a career were not helping her out. This was a reason for her vague thoughts about the prospects of finding the will to build a portfolio that would land her a good job. I tried to help her monetarily as she jumped from one certificate course to the other without completing any of them. At one time, she even said to me that I should sometimes give up because not every dream can be achieved with sheer will of mine, but I refused to leave her at any cost as my love was not dependent on her success ratio, and I never used that parameter with my loved ones. She wanted to end things as she kissed me with the teary eyes that day in the same secluded place where we kissed to be together forever. The night was just about to be over, and I've decided to see the sunrise with my beloved Nikki. Days passed, and finally, Nikki and I got a job as a personal secretary for a company in a faraway city. She wasn't ready to leave me and my dad, but I insisted she takes this leap, as I have faith in her. But before she left, I had a surprise for her in my back pocket, which came out at the very moment when we were celebrating her birthday. I told her that I don't have anything special to give her except that I want a promise from her. She was surprised, as was everyone else, excluding my father, as he knew this all along, and of course, he is my dad. I did it. I kneeled down on one knee and showed a ring that was not as shiny as we see in the movies, but I think that it did the job. The celebration became memorable, though this made the separation quite strong to swallow. Stronger than the mixture of different coffee beans that my dad and Nikki managed to swipe into my system. I hugged goodbye to Nikki at the airport and we parted ways. Her first day went well, as she told me on a video call, and even though we were away from each other, we still connected as if we were living together. Like a working couple, though the cuddles and kisses became digital and the touch was reduced to gifts that we have given to each other. She said that her boss is a disciplined man and works harder than his employees. Though he has been soft-spoken and never shouts like her previous boss in the fast food chain. One day, she mistakenly gave him the wrong file for presentation, which whirled a bit of chaos in the meeting room when his subordinate shouted at her. But her boss simply laughed at it and said that the mistakes are but a common sign of a beginner, and took Nikki's side by reminding her and the subordinate of the time when he forgot to take his resume for an interview and then got a panic attack. I guess that Nikki was in the right place to learn many things and was assured that I did not have to be concerned about my beloved cutie pie. The days turned into months, and a year passed like it was just yesterday. Good times fly like a butterfly, and bad times always stop time and keep us stuck in some sort of cycle. I have no idea that my dad's smiling face was not going to remain the same until his last breath. He got hit by a paralysis attack, which restrained his agile body from being stagnant forever. I used to always tell Dad to take care of his health and not overuse it, but he kept on working with multiple cups of coffee despite his deteriorating health. Nikki came to visit the very week when I told her about the situation, and she provided me the very shoulder to cry upon that I needed. Though, this time, my head got pinched by her earring, and I was not in my right senses to talk about it. Rather, I just wanted emotional support, which I knew only she could give me at this moment. It was quite selfish of me, yes, and it blurred my vision to see that they were in fact an expensive set of earrings. Nikki had to go back within a few days, as the workload was starting to become overwhelming. And I knew this, so I also did not let her feel my love as a binding factor. She kissed me goodbye, and in the same breath said to me that we should marry next year. I froze in my position while she was walking away, and then just like that, she disappeared with a flying kiss at the end. I caught it in the air and stuffed it in my pocket, which was not consciously doing it, but my motor skills knew exactly what my hands needed to do when the ball popped up toward me. It took me a few rides from my home to work and into the hospital to process what Nikki said at that airport. I could not even celebrate with my father as he was bedridden and could barely move his own body. I thought Nikki might said that, only to give me hope in a dire situation, as I used to do the same for her. I even tried to confirm it on the video call after she reached her apartment in the city. She first nagged me a bit and then called me silly and said that of course she wants to marry me, but not now. She wants to do this next year. At this time her schedule is packed, and she muttered that she wished I had done the same when my dad was all well. Before I could say anything, she brushed off her own complaints by defending me and advising me to provide the best medical facility that's available to my dad. She also admonished me to keep her coffee partner out of harm's way, and she'll be monitoring me every day, and I just smiled and just said that I love her. She kissed me through the screen, and it wasn't even tangible, but I could feel the soft and tender sense of support with conviction in her gestures. Later, we barely found any time to talk as she got busy on extensive business tours with her boss and the fellow subordinates. Meanwhile, I was working extra hours to get the most out of the job, as I had to keep up with the monthly medical bills and remuneration of a full-time nurse for my father. I did come late from the office almost every day, including the weekends, to make sure that the care for my father never got delayed, and so did my wedding with Nikki. I had lost a few pounds, not because of a food shortage or anything like that, but rather because I did not have enough time to eat properly. But it was all worth it, at least it was looking like that at the time. My father had also worked hard to secure my future, and now it was my turn to continue the tradition so that I would not fall weak in front of the circumstances and keep my dreams and responsibilities in check. Nikki used to send me pictures of her business tours, which were quite bright and devoid of exhaustion. I was happy for her, though our long conversations were reduced to hearing each other's voicemails and showing affection by resizing into emojis. I would say the connection between us was functional in the first year of a distant relationship, and later it was gradually losing its bars. And then at the cusp, it was either no network or one bar with connectivity issues, and the situation remained dormant until the second year of the long-distance relationship ending. Nikki texted me that she was coming back to the city. I was about to see her after a year, and it was nothing short of an important occasion for me, and Nikki had come to plan our wedding as we had decided earlier. I'd been saving money for this day for nearly 2 years now, but last year my father's diagnosis left me penniless. Though I worked hard for a year and collected almost 80% of the previous savings amount, I could have saved more, but my father did not think the same when he was spending every single penny to strengthen the foundation of my future. Then why would I not let him have a comfortable life in his final years? Especially since he's bedridden. Nikki also understood this and supported me when she came last year after my dad was met with this fate. Nikki and I reached home, and she looked at Dad and could see only, my face, that the chances of recovering were very slim. But he was stable and doing pretty well, and as he did remember Nikki when she touched my dad's hand, he grabbed her finger like a little kid does in the sleep. She held my hand, and we left the room while the nurses were there to look after my father. Later, we went on a small get-together organized by our close friends, and there, while consuming a bit of alcohol, Nikki announced that she was going to marry me next month and in the most expensive hotel in the city. Well, they all got surprised and looked at the two of us. Well, I was shocked too and gave them also a confusing look like, I don't know, I'm not understanding the joke either. The next day, I confronted Nikki gently and told her that what she said yesterday was nothing serious and a joke. Upon that, she asked me whether I had changed my mind about marrying her, and I told her that I wanted to marry her, but we have yet to decide on the venue. She adamantly said that she had already selected the venue and booked a particularly expensive wedding planner package in advance, with her share of savings. I could not comprehend and asked how the hell she could do this without even discussing it with me. And she replied that it was a surprise, just as I had given it to her on her birthday 2 years ago when I proposed to her out of the blue. She said that she wants to make the wedding memorable, and I did not differ from her point of view on that, though I was proposing to her that we should be saving most of the money so that our future will be secured, and that then we could plan to have children without a second thought. She laughed and flaunted that money can be earned later on, but the wedding won't happen again. Before I could counter her argument, she told me that she has gotten a discount, and now we only have to give $60,000, as she's already paid $30,000 in advance. And now I just have to pay the remaining $30,000 of my portion. I felt absolutely nauseated and went to the kitchen to drink some water. I returned to the room where Nikki was getting ready for our date. I stressed my voice and showed my utter disagreement, and she did not seem to be affected by it, and just asked that I have more than $30,000 in my savings, as she has calculated. Well, I showed her I only have 18 grand. And I was thinking of having a small wedding so that we could save most of the money for our future, and upon this, she put her nail polish hard on the table, slamming it down, turning towards me. She aggressively expressed that she cannot have a small wedding, and I had promised her to make her wishes come true, and I tried to reason that 2 years ago, well, things were different, and that all my savings got exhausted last year of my dad's diagnosis, and since then, I have had to pay medical expenses, medical bills, a nurse's salary, you name it. And how hard I worked to save that money by spending almost all my waking hours in the office. I held her hands and told her that I've done all this to secure our future. She then replied that she understands, but she cannot have a small wedding, and I should take a loan or borrow money to give her the rest of the $30,000 as she has spent all her savings on advance bookings. The argument gradually turned into a heated one, and I went ahead and suggested to her that she should revoke the booking and I would pay the booking cancellation penalty. She replied that maybe this would not have happened if I had not been spending most of my money on giving my father the best medical care possible. I was in disbelief, so I asked to correct myself, but she stood by her words and said that I could have saved more money by this time, and that my father would have wanted the same, and I'm dishonoring my father by acting like this. I don't remember the last time Nikki said something or did anything that made me rethink my relationship with her. She's never been anything of a despising nature, except for her love for coffee, but that was annoying only because my father's the same as her. But this time, how she was behaving got on my nerves deep, like I was talking to a totally different person. I crossed my arms and said that we are not having such an expensive wedding, period. She looked at me for a moment with a clenched fist and stressed eyebrows, and then she threw the engagement ring on the bed and walked away with a threat that the date and venue would not be changed, and said that if I loved her, then I would pay the remaining $30,000 to marry her, otherwise, it's over. She left the room at that very moment and went back to her city the very next day. I was absolutely devastated as all my dreams and aspirations fell apart. I wanted to marry her, but my inner self was against it after seeing her behavior. Like she was a totally different person. Back in the day, Nikki used to favor a small fast food chain for a date over an off-budget date, even when I was the one paying, and she even scolded me. Well, back in these days, when I bought her an expensive dress or something like that and made me return it. And now, even her hands are feeling pretty expensive to hold. I wrote my thoughts in a traditional letter and sent my ring and hers with it. I decided to end our relationship and sent a $10,000 money draft with it as compensation for spoiling her wedding arrangements. I ended our relationship with it a month ago and have never heard from Nikki since that day. So my question to you beautiful people is this. Am I the a-hole to break up just because I did not want to spend savings for the future to squander it on a one-day bash. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. Oh my goodness, today's story is crazy. It looks like OP and his significant other are coming to a term where their relationship's going to end because they can't agree on wedding plans. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. There's 3 updates to get in, and this story's about to get a lot crazier. Well, if you're new to the channel and you do want to help support it and keep these videos coming, just click that subscribe button underneath this video. It's completely free and it only takes a second. Alright, let's jump into the update. Thank you for all the comments and sharing your views, guys. I'm glad that most of you supported me in this decision, but I'm here to share a detrimental situation that's come up again in the past week. I've been summoned to appear in court. Nikki has filed a complaint against me alleging that I made her pregnant after the engagement and that she has now refused to marry me. She showed me my letter as evidence and the rings I sent to her via the mail, and Nikki's lawyers said that I also sent her a $10,000 check to get rid of the baby. I appealed for a paternity test since I've never had unprotected sex with Nikki a day in my life. But Nikki's doctor submitted her health report and insisted that an invasive test might result in a miscarriage. And an invasive method always had a 50-50 chance of giving true test results anyways. Thus, the jury and judge decided that I have to pay monthly alimony during her pregnancy, including all the diagnostic expenses since she was my fiancée, and all the evidence goes against me. Nikki's advocate made sure that I had to pay a hefty amount monthly, which would surely make me go bankrupt. After the court session, I tried to meet with Nikki to ask why she had not told me that she was pregnant with my child. I also proposed to her that we clear up all the differences and have a life together with our kid. But she did not look at me and just asked the driver to take her away from my sight. I don't know what's going on, guys. What if it is my child? I'm so confused and I cannot understand how to fix this or whom to trust anymore. Update number 2. Well, guys, it's been about 6 months since the incident took place and I'm already $30,000 in debt. I have also had to cut off my father's medical expenses, and I got kicked out of my job within a month as the news spread like wildfire and painted me as a bad person in the very society that used to praise me for hard work and dedication. I called many of my friends for help, but all of them had cut ties after sending some monetary help and assistance, only because they cared for my father. I joined a reconstruction worker job and started doing manual labor work here and there, just to earn enough money to keep the alimony and other expenses in check. My dad had cleared our house's mortgage until I graduated, and then he transferred the property rights to me as a gift. Now, I had to put it on the mortgage to take out a loan so that my father remained alive, and since I had no other source of income, it was my only hope. I was walking on a tightrope, and things had been going to hell for me since the day Nikki left me. I could not think clearly when she did it, and I just simply needed some answers, but there was still a month or 2 left for that. I got so busy fetching money that I forgot that I don't have a nurse to take care of my father. Well, I did mention to pay the bills, but I missed paying attention to my ill father. Last week, when I came back home in the morning time, after doing my night shift, I found that my father, he was lying dead on his bed. Later, the doctors said that he had a major heart attack and died while asleep. My father was physically unconscious, but his ears were somewhat alert at this very time, and maybe he heard me crying over my fate, which was my daily routine. Maybe he sensed that I failed to have the happy life he always dreamt of for me, and I'm a disappointment, and my father has to take it to his grave. Now I'm just numb and could not feel a single thing. Update number 3. This is the final update, guys. 8 months later. Hello, I'm updating you guys after quite some time, yes. After a month of my father's demise, I came to know that Nikki did have a miscarriage, and hence I lost a child. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe it wasn't my child at all. Maybe Nikki was not the person she had shown herself to be in the first place, and maybe she had thought that I would choose football as a career and earn millions when she first met me in college. Or maybe she knew that I was a hard-working professional and that she would have a secure future with me. Or maybe she realized the true potential of her beauty, which could let her have an easy life. She just needed to find a millionaire and become his personal secretary, and I'm sure now that I was a fool. A month ago, a news story went absolutely viral saying that a millionaire got caught red-handed by his wife when he was having an intimate time with his personal secretary. Well, when the story broke loose, I and the whole city came to find out that it was none other than Donald, the boss of Nikki. And when I inquired about the case throughout my advocate, the truth finally came out to light, that it was none other than Nikki who was having an affair with her boss. Later, I had to appear in court for the testimony, and I got a chance to exonerate myself. Donald's wife Bella had collected all the valid evidence with the help of a private detector. And the judge, did not take long to find that it was indeed true that Donald and Nikki had been having an affair for more than 2 years. The further statements of the lady doctor confirmed that Donald had bribed the hospital officials to fabricate a fake report so that the paternity test could be delayed. Later, they arranged Nikki's miscarriage themselves. The only evidence they had would vanish into thin air just like that. The court summoned Donald and Nikki to serve jail time and also to pay back all the money I had to give for alimony and other expenditures, including a hefty compensation for the loss of my dignity and mental health. The company's shares got transferred to Bella's name, including major assets owned by Donald. Before I could move, Nikki was pleading to save her and saying that she was being framed. I didn't even see her and walked away from her at that moment. Later, Miss Bella met me in person, and we both could understand each other as we had both been cheated by our beloved ones. Bella had no kids, and now she's all alone by herself, and to atone for her husband's sin, she offered me a position in her company. I did not want to accept it, but she said then that her HR committee had gone through my profile and found me quite a valuable professional. She also said that the job she's offering is not a gift, but something that I deserve. I asked for just a bit of time to think about it, please, as I wanted to clear my mind. I needed a break from this life to start a new one, and I first cleared the debt, then returned the money my friends gave me before cutting ties with me. They tried to reach me, but I didn't want to make them feel sorry for me anymore, so I decided to just avoid everyone and everything that reminded me of the time when I once wanted to hurt myself after my father's death. My father used to tell me these didactic stories when I was a child. Whenever I used to ask him, "Am I a hero of the story?" my father would always reply that I can be anyone I want, son. I can also be a bystander looking at whatever's happening with a hero and learning new things in life. I also chose to be a bystander in the part of my life where I was flying in the sky and then got crushed to the ground. I learned a lot from being a bystander, though, and I'm happy that I did not let myself succumb to the pressure and just die, because then it would have been a real disappointment to my pops. So, it looks like old Nikki got caught with her boss Donald, and Donald was having an affair. He was a married man. So it looks like OP was not stuck paying that alimony, and it turns out that kid was never his anyways in the first place. Guys, this story had everything. I mean, there was so much drama in the beginning, from OP's father getting sick, and then we find out how toxic and vile Nikki really is. But I do want to hear from you guys about this perspective that OP had to deal with. I mean, it is a lot to take in if you were in OP's shoes. How the heck do you deal with this? I want to hear from you guys in the comment section, and we do find out in the story he did have a little support because it turns out Donald's wife gives OP a job and says, "You've earned this." They kind of grow together, have a little bit of a bond, and it does help OP out a lot with coping. But I do want to hear from you guys because we also know about OP's father eventually passing away. Drop your comments down below. Here's the question of the video. If you were in OP's very unique position, would you have done the same thing and basically told Nikki to kick rocks? Drop your thoughts down below, guys. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories every single day. If you want to be a part of these stories, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click that notification bell icon. That way YouTube will pop a notification up for you that says, "Hey, Mr. Reddito just uploaded a video." I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you want more, I'll see you tomorrow. And do remember this: it's cool to be kind. Guys, take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.